Caitlin Clark's the new it. If you don't have a long ball, talking about the 26, 30 feet, if you ain't doing the Steph Curry, if you ain't got none of that long ball in your game, yeah, you're going to be behind.
Never seen before. Never seen nobody do that on a consistent basis. There's a lot of girls in WNBA that have done it in spurts, but that game I'm watching y'all in the Final Four, I'm like, damn, and I was a hater because, I'm down. She was like, she's not going to hit that shot, and bam, like, damn.
Anyone who's been paying attention to basketball knows Caitlin Clark isn't just good, she's electric. She's redefining how people see the women's game, leaving even NBA legends who've seen it all completely stunned. Her rise has pushed the WNBA into a spotlight it's never seen before. And now, the biggest name in basketball history, Michael Jordan, has weighed in. His words about Caitlin aren't just compliments. They're a turning point. Jordan's not the only one speaking up. Hall of Famer Rick Barry stepped forward with a fiery defense of Caitlin, blasting the hate she's taken from certain WNBA players. To him, it's nothing but envy of her once-in-a-generation talent. Barry didn't mince words, and his statement was a direct reality check to every critic who's tried to tear her down. Together, Jordan's praise and Barry's defense make one thing clear. Caitlin Clark has earned her place among the greats, and no amount of noise can take that away.
They're allowing some of these players, anybody that does something flagrant to this young lady for what she's brought to the game should be suspended and fined big time.
I think it's flat out unacceptable what they're letting slide, he said. Any player who takes a cheap shot at this young woman, after everything she's done for the game, should be hit with heavy suspensions and fines. Those strong words came from WNBA legend George Gervin, who joined the growing list of icons standing up for Caitlin Clark. Gervin didn't sugarcoat the truth. The disrespect aimed at her has no place in basketball. Instead, he stressed her talent should be honored and celebrated. His message wasn't just support, it was a warning to the doubters. Caitlin Clark's greatness isn't a question anymore, and even the legends of the game are making sure everyone knows it.
Value that she's bringing for all of them. She bringing, they flying private planes now. They weren't flying private before she came. They on major networks now. They weren't doing that. See, she remind me of Tiger Woods for gold.
The most unfiltered takes often come from players who aren't constantly in the spotlight, and Jeff Teague fits that mold perfectly. A steady starter for much of his 12-year career, Teague earned an All-Star nod and even picked up an NBA championship ring, but he was never marketed as a household name. Now retired, he's speaking with a freedom that many media darlings won't. And he didn't hold back when it came to the WNBA's treatment of Caitlin Clark, calling out the way the league has handled one of its biggest new stars despite her massive fan base.
Bro,
terribly, bro.
They was supposed to gas this shit. People don't watch this shit when y'all leave college. Women's sports, cause y'all hating on the best thing that's gonna happen to them.
You can argue that Jeff Teague's delivery is rough around the edges, but his core point makes a lot of sense. After years of heated debate over the gender pay gap in sports and failed efforts to elevate the WNBA's visibility, Caitlin Clark's arrival has finally pushed the conversation forward. Still, her welcome into the league has been anything but smooth. Teague's warning is simple: mistreating a player who's boosting the league's profile isn't just unfair, it's bad business. And speaking of poor treatment, some of the blame falls on Celtics legend Paul Pierce. The 10-time All-Star helped fuel early season hostility toward Clark by openly questioning her abilities, and sparking racial controversy with remarks about the Fever's rookie sensation. Since then, Pierce has walked some of it back, offering a grudging respect for Clark's play. Most telling, though, were his comments after she was left off the U.S. Olympic roster.
You want the women's game to grow. Then you keep the most popular girl in women's basketball off the team. Grow internationally, domestically, if you don't put her on the U.S. This makes the most sense. Sometimes you have to say, hey guys, this is bigger than the game. It is. I mean, women's basketball is at an all-time high.
At first glance, Paul Pierce's take might seem respectful, but a closer look reveals his doubts about Caitlin Clark haven't gone away. He argued that she should have been included on the U.S. Olympic roster, not because she earned it purely on merit, but because her presence would boost the sport's popularity. In other words, Pierce still isn't fully sold on her game. Then again, this is Paul Pierce we're talking about, one of the NBA's most provocative voices turned commentator, so his hot takes always come with a grain of salt, if not a full shaker. And just when it seemed the Caitlin Clark drama had peaked, Shaquille O'Neal lit the fire even higher. Appearing on Angel Reese's podcast, right in front of Clark's fiercest rival, Shaq delivered a bombshell. He didn't hedge, didn't hold back, and didn't care about the setting. The Big Diesel praised Caitlin Clark without hesitation, making it clear she's a once-in-a-generation talent. The moment was stunning, an NBA legend defending Caitlyn in the most unlikely arena, leaving no doubt that even her toughest critics can't ignore her greatness.
You know, I'm down. She was like, she's not gonna hit that shot, and bam, like, damn, she's not gonna hit that shot, man. Like, if I say 10 times you're not gonna hit the shot and you hit the shot, that means you're the truth. So I'm telling you now, if you just lower.
Since the Olympic break, Caitlyn Clark has looked like a different player. It's impossible to know how much her exclusion from Team USA fueled her fire, but there's no question she's rediscovered her rhythm. In hindsight, skipping Paris might have been a blessing in disguise. Riding the bench on a stacked roster, or worse, risking an injury overseas, could have derailed her momentum. Instead, Clark stayed locked in, using the snub as fuel to elevate her game. Where others saw disrespect and disappointment, Dwight saw an opening, recognizing that a talent like Clark was poised to turn rejection into a showcase of superiority over those chosen ahead of her. But with Caitlyn Clark, you can't just look at the moment, you have to consider the bigger picture. Few people understand that better than Hall of Fame point guard Isaiah Thomas, whose brilliance carried the Detroit Pistons to back-to-back NBA titles before he transitioned into coaching and front office roles. Asked about Clark, Thomas offered a largely positive take. Though true to form, he slipped in a subtle twist that left plenty of room for debate.
What she's done, and I think it's great what the media and the WNBA and marketing and the players are doing, because, controversy is not good, but, controversy.
That was classic Isaiah Thomas. Smooth enough to praise everyone involved, yet sharp enough to expose the politics fueling the Caitlyn Clark backlash. He hinted at the ugly truth without stoking the very controversy he was describing. And let's be honest, drama sells. The media had every incentive to spotlight the chaos surrounding Clark's arrival, piling on from all angles because the clicks and headlines were too good to pass up. Meanwhile, Caitlyn has built strong grassroots support in Indianapolis, but when it comes to local basketball royalty, she's still got a long way to go. At the top of that mountain stands Reggie Miller, the cold-blooded sharpshooter who defined the Pacers for 18 straight seasons in his iconic number 31 jersey. You might expect Miller to embrace Clark as Indy's new star, but instead he took a tougher stance. His message? Every rookie, no matter how hyped, has to earn their stripes by battling through adversity and competition.
Expect what's going to happen to her. Number one, I don't think it's jealousy. Oh my God, she's getting all the endorsements. We're going to go after her. You're playing at the highest level. You're playing in the WNBA, college, and you're going to the pro ranks. What did she expect was going to happen? Why are people so shocked? Right? You're playing against grown women.
Reggie Miller comes from the old-school NBA, where hard fouls were part of the game, so his perspective doesn't entirely fit today's landscape. But make no mistake, Caitlyn Clark is up against real challenges. This isn't just about competitiveness, it's about the hostility she's faced since day one. Nobody expected the WNBA to roll out the red carpet for her, but the resistance has often crossed the line. At times, it doesn't feel like she's being tested, it feels like she's being targeted. Clark's journey isn't only about proving herself on the court, it's about demanding fair treatment and refusing to back down, no matter how steep the odds. That's why the voice of someone like Magic Johnson carries weight. As part owner of the Los Angeles Sparks, the five-time NBA champion and legendary point guard has a front-row seat to the league's evolution, and he's been watching closely. Johnson not only praised Caitlyn's impact but also highlighted the bigger picture, pointing out how she, and other high-profile rookies, are reshaping the WNBA's future.
Caitlyn, her teammates got to come to her defense. You can't allow her to have to fight every battle. We have to understand that Caitlyn, Angel, and Brink, who plays for my Sparks, made the WNBA better. And they're going to be tested. Incredible women who've been in the league for a long time. Caitlyn is the most popular WNBA player, but she's not the best at this time. Just like Larry and I were not the best when we entered the league.
Magic Johnson went so far as to compare today's wave of WNBA talent to his own legendary rivalry with Larry Bird that reignited the NBA in the late 70s and early 80s. His message was one of patience, reminding everyone that young stars can't rise alone and will need their teammates' support to truly conquer challenges and claim their place at the top. In classic Magic fashion, he spread the praise evenly, steering clear of the uglier parts of the debate. Yet his high regard for Caitlyn Clark speaks volumes. If even a Hall of Famer with ties to a competing franchise is acknowledging her greatness, it's a testament to how much she's already changed the conversation. But where Magic chooses elegance, Charles Barkley chooses blunt force. Known as a bruiser in the paint and just as unfiltered with a microphone, Barkley has built an even bigger profile as a media personality than he ever had as an 11-time All-Star and 2-time Olympic gold medalist. He hasn't shied away from weighing in on Clark's WNBA journey, and while his tone is often rougher, his support has been consistent. Like in this clip where he breaks down how her game evolved during the season.
About her, she never says a word. And now, when I watch her, two things I like. She's playing much faster, much faster. She was playing too slow the first half of the season.
From the college season.
They didn't even give her the understanding, like, you girls been worded for the WNBA season. Y'all been working out on the...
Fatigue may have been just as responsible for Caitlin Clark's slow start as any defensive schemes, but Charles Barkley has been quick to point out how different she looks now. With more energy in her legs, she's pushing the pace, creating transition chances, and boosting the scoring not just for herself but for her teammates as well. Yet in true Barkley fashion, he didn't stop at X's and O's. He also called out the way Clark has been treated by her peers in the WNBA, and his words weren't gentle. Chuck's criticism was sharp, unapologetic, and aimed squarely at those players who seem more interested in tearing Clark down than in appreciating the spark she's brought to the league.
Women out there, y'all petty, man. You're 100% right on these girls hating on Caitlin Clark. Y'all petty, girls. I expect men to be petty because we're the most insecure group in the world. Y'all should be thanking that girl for getting y'all ass private charters, all the money and visibility she bringing to the WNBA.
Humor aside, Charles Barkley has zeroed in on the heart of the Caitlin Clark saga. Competition is fair game, but cheap shots are not. Too often, Clark has been knocked to the floor in ways that had nothing to do with basketball, and Barkley isn't afraid to call it out. His point is simple: players should be embracing the spotlight Clark brings to the league, not trying to drag her down. But in Barkley's view, the real culprits extend beyond the hardwood. He laid part of the blame at the feet of the media, accusing opinion makers of stoking the fire for clicks and ratings, and creating an environment where hostility toward Clark has been amplified for entertainment's sake.
Not have Clark thing up any worse if they try. Believe what we say on television. People don't like you or your personality. You can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. Attention, eyeballs. She's brought the college. For these women to have this petty, jealous, damn. What is...
You can't fault Charles Barkley for being frustrated. He sees injustice plain and simple. The WNBA has no problem treating Caitlin Clark like a cash cow, yet it hasn't done nearly enough to protect her on the floor or promote her as the face of the league. Some of that hesitation comes from corporate caution, with decision-makers waiting to see how things play out before committing to Clark's meteoric rise. But another part of it may stem from personal dislike among certain media voices, a reality Barkley rightfully calls unacceptable in a professional setting. Then came the bombshell. Michael Jordan finally broke his silence on Caitlin Clark, and he didn't hold back. The WNBA owes Caitlin a lot for what she's done for the game, MJ said, adding that referees have been blatantly unfair and that it's time the league corrects its mistakes. Coming from the greatest of all time, that message couldn't be clearer. Clark deserves respect not only from her peers, but from the officials charged with protecting the integrity of the game. And if Jordan's endorsement wasn't powerful enough, Steph Curry also weighed in. Fans and analysts have been comparing Caitlin to Curry since her college days, and for good reason. Her long-range shooting, lightning-fast release, and fearless style mirror the same qualities that redefine the NBA. But Steph himself pointed out the real key: to be like Curry, you can't just shoot. You have to elevate the game into a performance, energize the crowd, and make your teammates better even when the ball isn't in your hands. That's what separates true greatness. No wonder Steph has been asked about Caitlin so often, and no surprise that he's been quick to give her the credit she deserves.
Break down the release time, which is pretty much identical to mine. You can't help but watch when she plays, where she's shooting from, the range, the confidence, the flair. Like, she's a performer. It's crazy though, just because her shot is like that. It's at that level. If you really watch, like, her floor game is as impressive. So it's kind of the total package, and her being the French breaking that record and the amount of attention that she has gained over the course of these last couple of years. Every building she goes into, there's a different energy. Like, it's great for her.
Not long ago, Steph Curry represented the NBA in a landmark three-point shootout against the WNBA, a nail-biting contest that went down to the wire before Curry edged out the win. The buzz from that event has fans already dreaming of the next matchup, and it's only natural to wonder, could Caitlin Clark one day step onto that stage against her idol? So far, Clark has declined invitations to the three-point contest, but she's kept the door open for the future. As she put it, "I know all of our fingers are crossed that she does." When it comes to navigating all the noise around her, Clark would do well to pay attention to the NBA legends whose resumes speak for themselves. One of those voices belongs to Kevin Garnett. The former MVP and NBA champion, known as the Big Ticket, built his reputation on relentless work ethic, toughness, and a fiery competitive spirit that spanned 21 seasons. Jumping straight from high school to the pros, Garnett quickly became one of the most feared players on both ends of the court. That background gives him a rare perspective on what it really takes to become a star, and his words on Caitlin Clark carry weight few can match.
Do some shit, and guess what? When you're it, when you got the bullseye on your back, yeah, when you it, it's gonna come with some shit. And nobody's hitting y'all with the step back in the high, yeah.
Kevin Garnett didn't sugarcoat his take. In his view, rough play and trash talk are part of the deal for any rookie, and not something Caitlin Clark should shy away from. For Garnett, these battles are stepping stones to greatness. The best players, he argues, are forged in fire. By surviving the taunts and the extra defensive pressure, Clark is already building the kind of winning mentality that separates stars from legends. He even suggested she treat the relentless attention from defenses as a sign of respect, a backhanded compliment that proves how much of a threat she already is. Not every retired NBA star may share Garnett's perspective, but what's undeniable is this: the legend of Caitlin Clark is growing by the day. Since she found her rhythm and pushed her team into the playoff picture, more and more icons of the game have spoken about her as the real deal. To borrow a phrase from Shaq, game recognizes game. And in the eyes of true masters of the craft, Clark has already earned that recognition in ways that matter far more than the chatter of journalists who've never played. Every NBA great was once a rookie. They know the grind, the doubt, and the adversity that shape a career, and that's why so many of them see Clark's potential not just to elevate her own game, but to transform women's basketball itself. You can bet some of the best players in history are watching closely, rooting for her to rewrite the record books and revolutionize the business of the sport.